How hard is it going to be to find people who can be unbiased here?
It's going to be hard because there are a lot of people who have very strong passions on both sides of the issue. What the judge has done smartly, I think, is he has put forth a 42-question questionnaire designed to get at each of the prospective jurors' perspectives on this case, whether they have a Trump vote for or against bias, whether they are followers of QAnon or anti-Trump websites, whether they subscribe to certain newspapers. So they're really trying to dig down deeply into the background of each of these jurors to try and ensure that each juror will follow the evidence and render a verdict based on that evidence. And so it's going to be a process. It may be as important a part of this trial as the evidence itself.
Among other things, they will be asked if they use Truth Social, the website, of course, that Donald Trump uses now to post his missives instead of going on Twitter. A lot of people might be on Truth Social. Michael, what do they do with information like that? And if it's going to be that difficult to find people who somehow aren't biased or haven't heard about this case in New York, will this take longer than usual?
It will take longer than usual. It should take longer than usual. And in respect of what do you do with a question that asks, do you follow social media, Truth Social or Twitter or anything else? It's just a piece of information that each side uses to determine whether they want to try to strike a juror, prospective juror, for cause, meaning that there is a known bias that would prevent them from being fair and objective, or use what's called their peremptory challenges, which are essentially challenges that are just as they feel in their gut the right thing for them to do on behalf of their client, the United States, New York, actually, or Donald Trump. So they're tallying up all the points, and then it's sort of like game day where you're selecting somebody in the draft. You're going to look at all the factors and make your choice whether you want to keep this person on the jury or not.
Well, Michael, something else that we should consider about this trial in particular is that Trump is under a gag order, barred from essentially speaking against the judge or his family, other court officials, and potential witnesses or likely witnesses that can be foreseeable, like Michael Cohen, his former attorney, or Stormy Daniels, the porn star in question here. We asked former Watergate prosecutor Nick Ackerman about this gag order earlier today. This is what he told us, and we'll have you respond.
This is a case that absolutely needs a gag order. It's like an organized crime case to the extent that people's lives, witnesses in particular, family of the court, are really put in jeopardy. It's not so much by Donald Trump himself, but what he says to some of his supporters.
Michael, even with this gag order in existence and perhaps its importance, if you listen to those who might agree with Nick Ackerman, Trump on Truth Social just this week was calling Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen two sleazebags who have, with their lies and misrepresentations, cost our country dearly. Will there be consequence if he continues language like that throughout this trial, or is he someone who is just treated differently?
Well, he has been treated differently. He has been treated more favorably. If he continues to threaten witnesses, if those witnesses are covered by the gag order, then yes, he faces sanctions for that. He could be fined. He could, theoretically be jailed for it, but he won't be. But he could be fined. The reality here is these witnesses, Hecker, Cohen, Hope Hicks, they're all well known. And the Trump acolytes know who they are. And if they want to make their lives uncomfortable, they don't need Donald Trump any longer to tell them what to do. So the gag order is important, especially for court personnel and their families who are more or less anonymous. But all of this is almost irrelevant once the jury is seated and the evidence starts coming in, because what happens in the hallways after court adjourns is not going to be known to the jurors, shouldn't be known to the jurors. So hopefully you have jurors who will follow the instructions of the court, will not vote to acquit or convict if the evidence isn't there, and will be shielded from the politics of this case that will take place in the hallways and on social media.